What's happening, guys? Kyle here with Dabbler Gaming. It's my job to help you express your passion for games in creative ways. Today we're going to make a Smash Brothers meme, so let's get into it. Let's go! Hey guys, back with another tutorial. Today we're doing a Smash Brothers scene that you can use as a starting soon screen or for a meme or whatever you want to use it for. Apologize ahead of time if I'm losing my voice. I went through this several times to try and figure out the best way to explain what's going on. As you can see, I have a fairly large node tree. I think what I'm going to do is I will have templates available for you to download and you can tweak them as you want. And I'm just going to go through the different parts so you understand how they work. With that, let's just get in. All right, first things first is I just started with a black background. This just helps to resize everything. My tree here, it's one element at a time, and then I just have these transforms basically so I can move all of that stuff coming before it around to wherever I need it in the scene. As part of the background, we have a black, then we just need this red portion. So what I did with that is I downloaded this picture. You can see it's a bunch of triangles, necessarily sized properly, and it's not masked out because we want that black to come through. So I just put a mask on it, a rectangular mask over top. I added in this resize, so this resize stretches it out to the correct dimensions. So you can see it's 1920 by 1080. That's what the resize does. And then I added in a color corrector, and I will just click on all these so that you can kind of see my settings. So if you ever want to get back to kind of what I had going on, you can see them. And then we have an image plane and a displace and a render. So anytime we do 3D, we need a 3D render to turn it back kind of into a 2D scene. And this plane and this displace, all they're doing is I added in a little finesse into my scene. I have this background kind of moving, kind of rolling up and down, and I'll show you that. And that is just connected to this. I will explain this as we get to the end, but what this does is essentially let the background move and also loop it. And I have that going into my star animation as well. So I kind of get this looping background animation, which I use for a starting soon screen. All right, next up is this a foe has appeared text. This is just a text plus node. I'm using Open Sans so that that's kind of the closest match, the Smash Brothers font that I could find. Open Sans works pretty well. I just changed it to extra bold. This mass paint node, all this is doing is these are just a bunch of lines, and I have them inverted. So you can see I kind of had the size turned way down, the softness turned way down, and all that's doing is making these streaks across the text. Kind of give it this distressed look. And there's lots of ways you can do that, but that's a whole video in itself of how you can get distressed text, because there's 3 or 4 different ways you can do it. I just chose use line because that was easiest and most accurate for what I wanted. I have this image plane 3D and the render 3D. Render 3D is of course because we're doing 3D, and the plane is just for this transform. That way I can kind of tweak where this stuff is going, and I can kind of change these rotations in 3D space. So that was just a kind of match up with where the Smash Brothers text was, and really all I did was overlay it in this last node here and kind of turn this blend down. So that is all that's doing. So that's how I got things matched up, and I got pretty close. Next up, I just basically copied and pasted the text node over here for this challenger approaching. The only thing I added in there, we have this merge node and just this black background and of course a rectangle mask. So that's just giving me this little background for the text to go on. And of course I have my image plane 3D to put it where it needs to go, render it out, and of course I have another transform kind of just to place it in the scene. I apologize if I'm going fast. In order to do a full tutorial on this, like node by node, would just go forever. So I think it's easier for you to just kind of explain what's going on and let you have at it. All right, next up is this star. So I made this little star in the background, and what I did is just I did a polygon. It's not a very pretty polygon. I just kind of tried to follow the star pattern that my main image had. I added in this ellipse over it so that it kind of got that bulk center filled in. I had to resize it with this transform node. I added in this background so that we had color, so the white color is there from the background. This displace just allows kind of the edges again to be moved in and out of place. And then I added in this glow, which is one of the main things. Here's some of my settings for that. I just added in this nice glowing effect to it, kind of hide all those edges. And I added in a soft glow, just kind of to add it in to the very border of this. I just turned off this green, pushed down that threshold, pushed up the gain so I'd have this nice kind of pink glow around it. And I kind of have a little bit of it here, and that's what I was trying to mimic. And of course the transform node to move it around. And I have this looping effect put into that. One thing I did have to add over here, and this is to basically my silhouette as well, is I just threw in this rectangle mask because my image was going over top of this, and I kind of wanted to make it look like it was actually in the frame. That's there with some soft edges on the border, just kind of to blend it in. Otherwise there's that harsh edge or no edge at all. So that's kind of what those settings are for. And for the silhouette, all I did is I added in this photo. It's a me. And then all I did was trace it around with a polygon. So there's this polygon mask going all around the photo, and then there's second polygon to basically cut out underneath the arm there. That's all that's going in there. Then a color corrector. For the color corrector, I took the hue down, I took the saturation down, I took the gain down, and it just gives you this nice, silhouette and transform node. And then finally, I added in these particle effects. Small particles, like they're hard to see on the Smash Brothers screen, but they do have some red particles flying around. And all I did with those is just add in this P emitter, do some of the stuff there, add in this P render, and then this, of course, is what I use to overlap everything and see what was there. So that's kind of the structure of what I have going on. Let me explain what this does. So this helps things loop, and I got this from Jake Whip, and I will put his stuff in the description below. But basically all this does is, so this is a fast noise node, and basically when you think fast noise, think fluid. So anything you want moving, or anything you want to have kind of a fluid effect, you want a fast noise node for. That could be water, lava, any sort of thing that you want moving. In this case, the star in the background. And what I did on this is I have the ending frame, so my whole scene is 179 frames, or 180 frames, frame 0 of course, and I put in the start as -179. Now what this does is this takes what would have been the last frame, so frame 179, and it moves it back to frame 0. So our last frame is now our first frame. Then I add in this time speed. Now what this time speed is, once I put in this delay of 179, is make sure that the frame is delayed 179 frames. So with this fast noise, what we had at 179 is now at the first frame because we moved it there. And what happens with this time speed, it moves it back basically. It moves it from frame 0 to frame 179. Now why would we do that? Because we have these two merges. Now there's this background, the alpha's all the way down, so it's basically just a placeholder. But what we have going on here is we have this fast noise going into this merge, basically to start, and then going into this time speed and going down over here, basically as our end. And what that does is make sure that the first frame and the last frame are going to be the same frame, so it can endlessly loop. The only other thing you have to do for that is make sure that you put in a keyframe. So at frame 0, this merge, its blend is at 1, and then when it gets to the end, frame 179, which I can't get to for whatever reason, probably screwed that up. But when it gets down to 179, this will be at 0, and this one will start off at 0 and then go to 1 at 179. And so somewhere in the middle, you have 50-50 of each. So this works really well for backgrounds. I don't think it'll work very well if you have like an animated character that you wanted to just endlessly loop, because somewhere in the middle, you'd have, half of each of those kind of overlays, and it would probably look pretty blurry. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys use it and have fun with it. You can go in here and you can do lots of things like change the background color to whatever you want. You go in, you can change the text to whatever you want. Play around, have fun. And then all you need to do as far as the character is just swap out this photo, and then you'll just have to remask it. That's all you have to do with it, and I hope you enjoy. All right, guys, here's how you can get the Fusion Composition or any of the other ones. You just go to the Buy Me a Coffee. You don't have to buy anything. It's just $0. Thought this would be nicer than a Google Doc, and also I don't have my website up, so it is what it is. Anyway, you just click on it, and you just put 0 in as the donation. Do that. Waha! Hit the download, but as far as I know, Wasn't working for me earlier, but if you run into problems, if it just opens up the page like the MP4, you can just go down to the corner. There should be 3 little dots, and it'll tell you download. Now from your downloads, you should just be able to drag and drop that right into a new Fusion composition. And only thing you'll need to do is place this triangle background. Just open it up and see if you can't just drag and drop that right in your replacement file, because you won't have the original. And you put that right in there. Should be linked right up. Sometimes there's some weirdness going on with that. Oh, that fixes it. Just be aware there might be some oddness when you bring it in. And of course, the only other thing we have to do other than just replacing that background with the download of that triangle is just go in here and make sure you upload your own photo, remask everything. And if you need to get these nodes undone, you just right click on them, go to ungroup, and this will just expand everything out for you. You can work with them a little bit easier. Again, there's MP4s that you can just download, basically everything except the character. If you want it to be a little bit easier, you can just bring that into Fusion and mess around with them, or you can bring in this whole tree and use it and have fun. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video and want to see more. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it, hit the thumbs down, and I will never do this again. Until then, peace! I didn't hit the record button! I can't believe I didn't hit the record button. No!